In today's episode of Two Tall Guys Talking Sales, Kevin and Sean tackle a problem every sales leader dreads: a flat pipeline with no momentum. You'll hear powerful strategies to re-qualify stale deals, reconnect with your best customers, and build pipeline fast using real-world sales processes. Learn how to coach your team to engage true economic buyers and stop relying on demos to do the selling. If your revenue generation has hit a wall, this episode is the jumpstart your sales engine needs.
Fun topic today: what to do when your sales organization has a flat tire. Now, specifically, flat tire that we're going to talk about today is when your sales pipeline is not quite big enough or it's completely empty. How do you hold salespeople accountable to pumping up the tire? How do you get the flat tire full again? So, enough with the analogies. Sean, let's talk about, regardless of whether you're in tech sales, engineering sales, professional services, if you're a sales leader, let's break down all the pieces of the puzzle that sales leaders should be holding their sales people accountable to. And we're going to entirely exclude marketing from this discussion for right now. They have their own goals.
That sounds great, Kevin. And let's, like you just listed a couple of things, whether you are in this thing or that. I don't care if you sell promotional products. I don't care if you sell cleaning fluids to factories or coolants to factories, any of those things, right? Anything that you sell, B2B, what happens when you're in trouble? You could have a great pipeline. There's lots of reasons for being in trouble. There's times when I've seen salespeople get in trouble because they were closing the biggest deal of their career. It was the end of the year. They spent 2 months trying to get that thing across the threshold. They closed it at 3:00 on the last day of the fiscal year. They went to work the next day. Everybody's high-fiving them. Nobody gave them any grief because it was the first day of the next fiscal year. But the second day, the boss says, "What have you done for me lately?" They look at their pipeline. They have no deals because they haven't been paying attention to prospecting. So even in those great situations where you just close the biggest deal of the year, you got to keep on selling the next day.
And let's rip a couple more things from the headlines. When tariffs are applied, automatically people can cancel POs. So not only do you have a pipeline, you may have canceled jobs. Interest rates go up, interest rates go down. You lose a rock star on your team. Again, this is about sales leaders holding salespeople accountable to building the pipeline.
Exactly.
We don't want to be doom and gloom. So if you're out there going, holy cow, this is a doom and gloom episode, it is not. This is an action-oriented episode. So don't write if you're driving right now, but definitely make plans to come back and listen to this later and write some to-dos for your organization. You're the leader. People are looking to you to help them get out of their paradigm.
Absolutely. So the first thing that you have to acknowledge when you're a salesperson and you don't have a very good pipeline, therefore you're not closing deals. So let's just assume that you don't have to do that portion of your week where you have to actually close deals because you don't have any pipeline. You still have to go to work. You still have to show up. What are you going to do? The number one thing you have to think about what you're going to do is try to figure out how to network into new customers that are able to buy from you relatively soon. You want fast access to power because you're behind, right? You want fast access to people that might be able to buy your product. So maybe you can shorten some stages in that sales process and not skip any, just shorten them down, just make them fast. So one of the things I tell everybody to do is, when's the last time you talked to your best customers? When's the last time you said, "Hey, Mr. Customer, I was on LinkedIn and I noticed on LinkedIn that you're connected to these 5 people. Are you really connected? Do you really know those people?" Because if you don't, that's fine, right? Because we all know that we connect to people that we don't always know. But you're connecting to these 5 people. Do you know them? Guy answers, or the response back is, "Yeah, I know 3. I don't know those other 2, but I know these 3. Great. Can you do me a favor? Can you write me an introductory letter? In fact, I actually wrote it for you if you don't mind. Here's an introductory letter from you to introducing me to that person. Can you do that for me? Would you do me that favor?" 9 times out of 10, maybe even 99 times out of 100, the person's going to say yes. You've already said that you know that person, that you've already acknowledged that. They're a good customer. Now, you don't get this introductory letter saying, "Hey, Will, you should meet Kevin." You don't get that introductory letter if that was the first time you went back to your really good customer in 2 years. You get that really good introductory letter because you kept on working on it. So if you're behind right now, you're in trouble if you haven't been keeping up on those things, but at least start that process. Go see all your customers right away. At least start that process. You don't have to do the introductory letter on the first time if you haven't been keeping up with them, but go see every good customer. Anybody that has purchased in the last 2 years, anybody that's purchased above a certain amount, I don't know what that's going to be because your company is different than every other company, but you need to go see every single one of them. Plus, you might just get another lead at that company, right? There might be, yeah, now we need you over the accounting department. Now we need to talk to you in the engineering department. So you might be able to expand a little bit. But let's start with the assumption that you should go talk to every one of your customers. And by the way, if your pipeline is great, go talk to your customers right now anyway. So that's the number one thing you should do. The second thing you should do is you should go to the Chamber of Commerce of every town and city in your area, and you should figure out when they're having their next morning coffee event. They all do it on a regular basis. They have their morning coffee event. They have some kind of event almost every month. Every decent Chamber of Commerce person does this now. So you need to start going to those Chamber of Commerce meetings. Kevin, I just talked a lot, gave 2 quick ones. What do you think? What did I get wrong?
I don't think it's about wrong. I think it's about the comma and. If you listen to us for any length of time, you've heard me say comma and as a part of how I say how we solve problems. There's more than one way to skin a cat. So for all of you folks out there who just said, hey, I can't go to 50 states worth of 100 county per states chambers of commerce. If you've got a national or a super regional, think east of Mississippi, west Mississippi territory, if you've got that kind of footprint you've got to cover, you can't go and be omnipresent at every after hours coffee event. So what do you do then? In addition to calling your best customers, that still applies. Also think about how you're showing up to your customers. Think about how you're showing up physically as a salesperson. Are you showing up bringing value, or are you just there updating the catalog? If you're trying to get new doors open, what are you doing to send value? There's a fun acronym I use. It's called PESTEL, P-E-S-T-E-L. Use that. Go look it up as a framework for talking about things that matter in the industry you serve. All it is like political, economic, environmental, legal. It's an acronym that drives you to go search by impact topic, what is impacting the industry you serve. That's a great way to send forward value that doesn't have to do with your feature benefits. If you're only showing up feature benefits, stop. Now, Sean, we started this by talking about what should sales leaders do to get sales people to do the right activities. How are we filling the flat tire? And for some of you sales leaders, making sure that your people have a travel schedule that's more than, I need to go somewhere next week. Be 6 weeks out scheduled with customer visits. And for each of those, you're trying to prospect radius customers, a 25-mile radius. And if your CRM is not well updated with addresses in it, it should be, because most modern CRMs, you can go into the customer, the organizational, the company record, click on their address, and it'll say, show me accounts within 25 miles, 10 miles, 50 miles. If your data is good, it'll show you. Do that. Second thing, sales leaders, when was the last time you re-qualified or affirmed the qualification for the open deals? Do you have some diamonds in the rough? Sean made a great point about talking about small wins or quick wins or access to power wins. I was working with a number of different companies this week. This is not just one company, a number of different companies. And I said, hey, let's go through your pipeline right quick and let's just do a simple qualification, just very high level. If you walked in with a PO to be signed today, could the person you're talking to sign it? This is just an authority check. A lot of pipelines that are anemic or have constant slides or push of deals to the next month or quarter are ripe with, hey, I'm talking to the wrong person. We're proposing to the wrong person. You as a sales leader have to get that behavior out of acceptable behavior category. You've got to hold people accountable to following the process, doing the things that return success over time. So talking to the right people, asking the hard question. I like to use a dating scenario to get the first date. I think about that when I was dating my now wife. I was asking for the second date. I had to have the 10 seconds of courage to go, hey, I really like you. I'd like to see you again. In a sales scenario, it's, hey, I think we've got a good alignment of our solution and what you have told me is your pain, because you've confirmed pain. I think that there's a follow-on conversation where we can talk about the value we bring. If you're not saying those words in your sales qualification steps, you should not be allowed to go to a scoping or a demo stage. If you're trying to just rush to the demo, sales leaders, stop that behavior in your organization. We are not a demo organization in any way, shape, or form. If that's all we were, we'd record it and we wouldn't have salespeople. There's some reality for you. If you think the demo is going to sell your product, you're not necessary as a salesperson. So sales leaders, make sure you're adding value to your sales team by holding them accountable to the process. Now, again, not doom and gloom, and I'm the one talking for a long time, Sean, here, but holding people accountable to the process, making sure we're well qualifying deals. To your point about going to go see your best customers, listen to what's changing. What new problems are they solving? Use those problem areas as talking points. Measure the first call conversations. How many sales conversations did your team have this past week, the past 2 weeks? That is a great leading, not lagging, leading indicator of pipeline health.
And I'm going to keep on building on that sales process. So just about every sales process that you ever see, and hopefully you have one that you're following, but if you have an anemic pipeline, now isn't really time to tweak the pipeline or the process steps too much. But let's assume that you have somewhere in there, meet the economic buyer. So that's that person that can sign that purchase order that Kevin was just talking about. So you go in there and you meet the economic buyer. A lot of salespeople get afraid of that. And one of the reasons why sales pipelines keep slipping is because we never asked the economic buyer, and I'm going to do this in a very non-salesy way. We never said to the economic buyer, what do I have to do to get you to buy? Now, you're not going to say it that way. You're going to say, how do we have to prove out our software? What delivery mechanisms are you looking for, Mr. Economic Buyer, so that you can be satisfied that we will meet your performance needs? You're going to say something like that. But in essence, what you're saying is, what do I have to do to get you to buy? Now, if your salesperson on your team can't tell you who the economic buyer is with any level of confidence, that's the economic buyer, then you as the sales leader with a weak pipeline, maybe you should just personally go see the economic buyer yourself. Hey, Joe, we're making a joint sales call. Set it up for next Wednesday. I'm going to be in your territory. I'm going to be sitting in the shotgun seat, and we're going to go see that guy, and we're going to go talk to him. Because if you don't believe that your salesperson has actually talked to him, make him set up the appointment and go along. Make sure that he knows how to sell to the economic buyer. Make sure she knows how to ask that closing question. Make sure that they have the skills and the tools that are required to move the deal to the next step. Now, obviously, the next step is you write down all the things the economic buyer just said. You have to prove that you've been qualified by this certification agency, blah, blah, blah. Whatever the economic buyer says, this is what I need in order to buy. And okay, let's knock them out. Write them all down and kick those monkeys off the table. Let's one after a time. Let's keep on going and let's knock them all out. Okay, you go back to her, the economic buyer, and you say, ma'am, we did all 5 things that you said. And then you wait. You just wait. Just like I was just pausing right there. Just wait. And if they don't bring up any other thing in that quick little pause, it's time to buy. Let's confirm the price configuration. Let's confirm the deal. I'm going to give you a proposal. Sounds like we've knocked everything out satisfactory to your needs. Look forward to having a kickoff in 30 days. Let's start moving this deal down the way. So you'd have to ask for the order. And that's one of the biggest things that I see salespeople not doing anymore. They don't ask for the order because they're afraid to get the no answer. The no answer is fine, right? When I say the no answer, meaning the answer is no. Not getting an answer, that's not as actually good as the no answer, because now you got to figure out why didn't they answer it. But ask for the order. Just say, it's time for you to buy. We did all the things that you said. What do we have to do to get this purchase order signed? What do we have to do in your process? Who else has to sign on it? Does this have to go before the board of directors? Blah, blah, blah. You should know all that stuff already. But let's get these deals closed so that the few deals that you do have in your anemic flat tire pipeline, let's get them closed. And for the salespeople out there, Start prospecting. And I know it's a bad word, prospecting. I don't want to make cold calls. Don't make cold calls. Go to networking events. Ask your customers for referrals. And if you really want to keep your ideas sharp and you really want to get ideas and get help from other people that maybe can be creative on how do you get through some roadblock or whatever, I also suggest that you join the B2B Sales Lab. The B2B Sales Lab is a community of peers, of salespeople, sales leaders that are helping each other be better salespeople. You can find out more about it by going to the show notes, or you can just go to b2b-sales-lab.com. Read what we wrote there about what it's all about. Click on the button. It's 90 days without a charge. We ask you for your credit card, but that's just to keep the spammers out because we don't want spammers in our environment, and spammers don't use credit cards. Join the B2B Sales Lab, and you'll hear more great ideas from people who really care about helping you be successful. Thank you very much.
What an episode. Today, Kevin and Sean gave us an unflinching look at what to do when your pipeline dries up, and more importantly, how to fill it again with purpose and urgency. One of the most insightful takeaways was Kevin's breakdown of using the PESTLE framework to bring fresh, industry-relevant value into prospecting conversations. If you're only showing up with features and benefits, you're missing the opportunity to demonstrate true business acumen, and that's what separates average reps from sales pros. Another standout moment was the significant actionable item: requalify every deal in your pipeline this week. Why? Because too many salespeople are chasing contacts who can't buy. Confirming that you're talking to the economic buyer isn't just a detail. It's the difference between slipping forecasts and hitting quota. Don't let that insight go to waste. Take 5 minutes today to scan your pipeline and ask the hard question. If I brought a PO, could this person sign it? If you're looking for expert help with sales strategies, sales management, or just need to reboot your revenue generation efforts, Kevin and Sean are just a click away. Their contact details are in the show notes. And don't forget to check out the B2B Sales Lab, a thriving peer-led community built to help salespeople and leaders hit their numbers, get unstuck, and share best practices that actually work. You'll find the link to join at b2b-sales-lab.com, also listed in the show notes. We'll be back next Tuesday afternoon with another powerful episode of Two Tall Guys Talking Sales. Happy selling!